Hello and welcome to my little 40k show. So we are talking faction rules. Oh, we don't want that. We're talking faction rules. And we are also probably going to dabble in some leaks because you probably are well aware of, because it's been put all over the internet, that there has been the sort of core, what looks like maybe the Leviathan book with the core rules of 10th edition have been leaked. So what we're going to do is we're going to go straight into the focus faction for the Aeldari. I'm sure maybe some of the leaked rules will come up as we're talking anyway. But yeah, let me know if you are watching. Send me a message in the chat and we'll start some conversations. Death Guard have just come out, so we're going to be doing Death Guard straight after Aeldari. Focus faction for Aeldari. So I'm just trying to get the words right here. Is Aeldari just covers the craft world portion? No, Aeldari covers all of them, doesn't it? And Asuryani covers the craft world, so I believe. Teddy Woody says, howdy. Howdy, Teddy. So, let's get in. So, starting off with Strands of Fate. So if your army faction is Aeldari, at the start of the battle, make a Strands of Fate roll by rolling 12d6. If you wish, you can re-roll all of these dice, but if you do, roll one less d6. You can continue doing this, basically just taking a d6 off every time to get your desired rolls. So when you're satisfied with the results rolled, remaining dice becoming your fate dice for the battle. These results cannot be changed or re-rolled further unless a rule specifically states otherwise. Keep your fate dice to one side, and this is your fate dice pool. So you've got, say if you roll once, you roll 12d6, you keep them dice, you've got 12 dice for the whole battle. I think that's what I'm getting. Correct me if I'm wrong, anyone? So your fate dice pool. Before making a dice roll for a model or unit, so it's before making the dice roll for a model or unit from your army, with the Strands of Fate ability, if you have one or more dice in your fate dice pool, you can use one of these fate dice to do so. Select one of those fate dice to substitute that dice roll. The dice roll that is being substituted is not rolled. Instead, the value of the selected fate dice is used as if it has been rolled. So basically, they're miracle dice. I don't really understand why they've changed this to this. Like, why didn't they just keep it as how fate dice were? Doesn't make a load of sense. This counts as a nullified dice roll with that value for all rules purposes. Each fate dice can only be used in this way once. After using a fate dice, throw it away. All remaining dice that are part of the dice roll, if any, you can use fate dice for any of the following types of rolls: advance, hit roll, battle shocks, charge roll, damage roll, wound roll, save and throw. Okay, so basically anything you can use a command reroll on, you can use a fate dice on. Okay. Injections can be substituted for natural dice rolls each battle round. Unparalleled foresight. So the detachment rule for this detachment, which is called Battle Host. Each time an Aeldari unit from your army is selected to shoot or fight, you can reroll one hit roll and you can reroll one wound roll when resolving those attacks. Really nice for big, heavy weapons. Yeah, like, it's a nice rule. It improves the reliability. They said that there's going to be less less rerolls in 10th edition. I mean, I'm not seeing it at the minute, but maybe, because there seems to be a lot of ways to get rerolls, like rerolling the wound roll for any twin linked weapon, Oath of Moment giving you reroll hits and reroll wounds, reroll to hit, reroll to wound here. I think it just means you get less reroll ones off of captains and stuff. That's about it. Okay. This potent combination allows a canny Aeldari player to treat crucial dice rolls as mere suggestions, plucking victory from the jaws of defeat. Okay. Farseer. Movement 7. 7-inch movement. It's what we come to expect from Aeldari. Toughness 3. 6 up save. Ooh, 6 up save. Ooh, that's not good. He has got a 4 up invuln, don't worry. 4 wounds, leadership 6 plus, objective control 1. A 6 up save though, like, I hope the Guardians aren't a 6 up save. That would be a bit naughty. Okay, Eldritch Storm. It's blast, psychic, 24 inches, d6 attacks, 3 plus ballistic skill, strength 6, -2, d3 damage. That is nice. I like that. Could be quite brutal. Shuriken Pistol, -1, 1 damage, 2 up ballistic skill, 2 up ballistic skill on the Singing Spear, only 12-inch range, it's assault, psychic, 2 plus ballistic skill, strength 9, 0 AP, 3 damage. 0 AP. Not the best. Singing Spear, psychic, 2 attacks, 2 up web skills, strength 3, 0 AP, 3 damage. And then anti-infantry 2 plus on the Witchblade, psychic, attacks 2, weapon skill 2, 3, strength 3, 0 AP, 2 damage. Obviously wounding infantry on a 2 plus. It's alright. It's alright. I mean, obviously the Farseer is not meant to be some brutal combat lord, but then if a lot of the psychic that he's using is psychic weaponry, you're expecting that to be a bit better. I mean, the Eldritch Storm is nice. Okay, let's have a look at some Branching Fate. Once per turn, psychic this is, you can use a fate dice to substitute a roll made for a model on a unit within 12 inches of a Farseer model from your army. One model from your army with this ability can use it. If it does, the result of that fate dice is first changed to a 6. Okay, so this makes your fate dice way more reliable. You're probably going to want a few Farseers lying around your army so you can be changing fate dice to 6s, because that's really good. In your command phase, you can roll d6 on a 2. This is, sorry, fortune. On a 2 plus, select one friendly Eldari unit within 12 inches of Psyker until the start of your next command phase. Each time an attack targets that unit, subtract 1 from the wound roll. So -1 to wound on a unit is very, very nice. Okay, let's move on. Guardian Defenders. Okay, they have a 4 up save. Whew. Movement 7, toughness 3, 4 up save, 1 wound, 2 wounds on the heavy weapon platform, 6 up leadership, 2 OC, no OC on the heavy platform. Okay, so Eldari Missile Launcher, the Star Shot is 3 plus, strength 10, -2, d6 damage. It's not heavy. Interesting. Eldari Missile Launcher, Sunburst Blast. These are both 48-inch range, d6 with this is still 3, strength 4, -1, 1 damage. I would have thought they would have put the Star Shot as heavy. So you could then hit on a 2 with it if you were stationary. Oh well. Bright Lance, 36-inch range, 1 attack, 3 up ballistic skill, strength 12, nice, -3, d6 plus 2. Look like nice, better than a Lance Cannon. A bit more reliable because it's got the extra damage, being d6 plus 2 rather than d6 plus 1. So, cool. You can get a lot of Bright Lancers in a Craftworld army as well. Scatter Laser, 36-inch range. It's obviously all depends on the points of these weapons. I mean, if it's good if it's not too expensive. Attack 6 on the Scatter Laser, nice. 3 up ballistic skill, strength 5, 0 P, 1 damage. Shuriken Cannon, which we've already seen, sustained hits 1. 3 attacks, strength 6, -1, 2 damage. Cool. Shuriken Catapult, 18-inch range, strength 4, -1, 1 damage. Star Cannon, 36-inch range, 2 attacks, strength 8, -3, 2 damage. That's quite nice. So, these are... they're all hitting on 3s, so at least Craftworld are hitting on 3s rather than like some of the other factions, like Admech and Votan, who are hitting on 4s. Quite rightly, Craftworld would definitely be hitting on 3s. Okay, so Defenders of Fate. At the end of your command phase, for each objective marker you control that has 1 or more units from your army with this ability within range of it, roll 1d6 and add it to your Fate dice pool displaying the result you just rolled. Okay, so there's ways of getting extra fate. That's very nice. Crude platform. When the last Guardian defender model in this unit is destroyed, any remaining heavy weapon platform models in the unit is also destroyed. Okay. So keywords: infantry, battle line, grenades, guardians, guardian defenders. We've seen the new grenade rule. I'm not sure if you guys have seen it, but the new grenade rule, basically you can lob some, you roll some d6 and you can do some mortal wounds. Looks quite nice. Probably do about 3 most of the time. Weapons spotlight, prism cannon, dispersed pulse. So we've got 60-inch range, attacks 2d6, it's blast, 3 up ballistic skill, strength 6, -1, 2 damage. So a nice sort of anti-infantry, good against marines there. Then we have the focused lances, which has the keyword linked fire. 60-inch range, 2 attacks, ballistic skill 3, strength 18, -4, straight 6 damage. Wow, really good. When selecting targets for this weapon, you can measure range and determine visibility from another friendly fire prism model that is visible to the bearer. This is really nice. So you can have 3 fire prisms. You can just stick one out and then you can shoot all at the same target. Say as a knight, you're playing a knight army, shoot all at the same target, bang, 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 hopefully take that knight down. And then what you can do is play this lovely little fire and fade stratagem. And you can then put it back into cover or behind, so it's out of line of sight. So you can place at the end of your shooting phase, choose one Eldari unit, can make a normal move. It cannot embark inside a transport. You cannot select an aircraft unit or a unit within engagement range of 1 or more enemy units, and until the end of the turn, the unit you selected is not eligible to declare a charge. So yeah, like I said, you could use them fire prisms and then fire and fade one back, and that will be a very naughty combo. What you could also do is put the Farseer near them, so then you can start turning stuff into 6s if you want to make sure that you wound or make sure that you hit. And then you've got a one reroll per fire prism to hit and 1 reroll to wound because of the attachment rule, so of 2 shots. So that's really nice. What a combo that is. Doesn't sound that less killy to 9th edition to me. It sounds very killy. What a combo. Okay. Cool. So, Craftfoil look good. Teddy says, so far Eldar has the better army detachment rule. The ability to reroll 1 missile and to wound is really powerful. Yeah, I agree. It's one of the best that we've seen so far. And like I say, that combo with the fire prisms and the Farseer and then the rerolls to hit, reroll to wound, it's going to be naughty. Especially if you're up against something like knights or monoliths or just big stuff and you don't want to put your maybe a little bit more delicate fire prisms, because I'm imagining they're not going to be too hard to kill themselves. So you're really sort of keeping them safe, or more safe than they would be if you had to get all 3 of line of sight. Okay, let's move on to the Death Guard. Okay, so Death Guard, the Rotted Brotherhood, lovely. Old Morty, I wonder if we're going to see anything about Mort. Faction rules. So, Nurgle's Gift is an aura. If your army faction is Death Guard, while an enemy unit is within contagion range, of this unit, subtract 1 from the toughness characteristic of that model of the models in that enemy unit. Contagion range changes over the course of the battle, as shown below. First battle round 3, then 6, then 9. Okay, so it's very, very similar to 9th edition. 3-inch aura, 6-inch aura, then 9-inch aura. So most of the time, once Death Guard get there, it's going to be 9 inches anyway, once you get actually close to them, unless they're deep striking on turn 2. Harley says Death Guard are worse somehow. Okay, let's have a look then. Spread the sickness detachment rule. If you control an objective marker at the end of your command phase and a Death Guard unit from your army is within range of that objective marker, that objective marker is said to be infected and remains under your control even if you have no models within range of it until your opponent controls it at the start or end of any turn. Sticky objectives. I love the way they've come up with so many different names for sticky objectives and how everyone seems to have sticky objectives. In addition, while an objective marker is infected and under your control, it has the Nurgle's Gift ability as if it were a unit from your army. Okay, that's quite nice. It's a bit different. So enemy units with the contagion range of it will have their toughness characteristic modified. However, in addition, when an objective marker is infected and under your control. So once you move on to it and it's the end of your turn or the start of your turn, it's no longer got the gift of the Noble's Gift. Okay. Teddy says, I would have to disagree. Teddy, what are you disagreeing about? The Death Guard seeming worse? Okay, play Death Guard if you like big guys. I mean, who doesn't like big guys? The Sons of Mortarion are absolute units. Units! I love it. I love this language. Walk-in refrigerators. Packed with a slurry of rotten innards and mutation. Whoever wrote this paragraph is a legend. Held together by millennia-old Ceramite spit and a prayer to Nurgle. With the corpse worshippers making a song and dance about their renewed Terminators, the god of the corpulence and fecundity wasn't going to be outdone. Blightlord Terminators are now even heftier. Woody says, yep, I'm a Death Guard player. Okay. Interesting. So, movement 4. Ooh. That hurts. Unless there's a way to increase that or just always deep strike them. These are the Blightlord Terminators. Movement 4. Toughness 6. 2-up save. Okay, 2-up save. Toughness 6 is nice. There's a lot of Strength 4 and Strength 5 weaponry lying about. I mean, to be honest though, wounds 3, leadership 6, OC 1 on the Terminators. Okay, I was expecting to see OC 2 if I'm honest. Okay, Blight Launcher, lethal hits, 24-inch range, 2 attacks, strength 6, -1, 2 damage. Combi weapon, anti-infantry 4+, devastating wounds, rapid fire 1. So 24-inch range, 1 attack with a combi weapon, 4 ballistic skill, strength 4, 0 AP, 1 damage. A plague combi bolter, lethal hits and rapid fire 2. That's nice. So, yep, you'll be getting 4 shots in rapid fire. And you'll be auto-wounding on 6s. Ballistic skill 3. Oh, the combi weapon's ballistic skill 4. So, ballistic skill 3, strength 4, 0 AP, 1 damage. That combi weapon's probably not going to hit that often at ballistic skill 4. Because it's like, you hit on a 4 and then you got a wound on a 4 with 1 shot. I don't like the chances for that. Plague Spewer. Anti-infantry 2+, ignores cover torrent. Ooh, that's nice. That is really nice. D6 shots, strength 5, AP 1, 1 damage. That is a really nice anti-infantry gun. You are going to be absolutely spewing over like the weaker type infantry. Reaper autocannon, devastating wounds, sustained hits 1. So attacks 4, 3 up, strength 7, -1, 1 damage. Bubotic plague, bubotic blade, sorry. Lethal hits, attacks 4, weapon skill 3+, strength 5, -2, 1 damage. That's nice. The Flower of Corruption's got lethal hits, so auto wounding on 6s. Everything's got lethal hits apparently. Attack 6. It's a nice lot of attacks. 3 up weapon skill. Strength 5, -1, 2 damage. Nice. Noble's Gift Aura. Each time a model in this unit makes a ranged attack, if it targets the closest enemy unit, reroll a wound, roll a 1. So sort of like re-rolling with plague weapons, you just get to do it against the closest enemy unit, and it's just with all weapons. Okay. I mean, the 4-inch move is savage. It is really, really savage. They're already pretty slow at 5, but 4 inches feels bad. I think it feels bad because they went to 5 and now they're back down to 4. So what do you think's good about these then, Teddy? Okay, movement 5 on the... Oh, okay, the Plague Caster's movement 5. So Plague Marines will be movement 5, we assume. T5, 3 up save, wounds 4, 6 up leadership, and 1 OC. Plague Bolt Pistol, lethal hits. Just don't really need to talk about that. Plague Wind Witchfire, which is Psychic Torrent. So it also hits D6 attacks. Strength 4, -1 D3. That's quite nice. Plague Wind Focus Witchfire, which is hazardous. And we now know hazardous is once you've shot a hazardous weapon, you roll a D6. If it is a 1, you get killed. Or you take 3 mortal wounds, depending on what you are, if you're a monster vehicle. I'm not sure if characters take 3 mortal wounds, or if they just get auto-destroyed like any other model. 12-inch range, D6 plus 3, which is nice. Strength 6, -2, D3 damage. So it's a bit of extra AP, extra strength, and extra shots. So might be worth that hazardous risk. Corrupted Staff, lethal hits and psychic. Attacks 4, 3 up weapon skill, strength 6, AP 1, D3 damage. Not bad. Okay, let's look at the special rules. Harley said they will die before they get anywhere. Well, I don't think the whole army moves 4 inches, but I know what you're saying about the Terminators. I mean, really, you're going to have to drop him in, aren't you? 4-inch move. Okay, Gift of Contagion. And if you are dropping them in, they need better than a 9-inch charge, because otherwise it's so unreliable, you're not going to want to do it. Gift of Contagion. In your shooting phase, you can select one enemy unit within 18 inches and visible to this Psyker. The fact that BLT have 40 shots and lethal hits. Okay. Yeah, don't get me wrong. Some of their weapons have definitely got better. That is very, very true. Like, you're gonna get more wounds through and stuff like that. Plus, we don't have any rules for the independent characters to give them reroll hits yet. Yes, I agree. Yeah. We're only seeing 10% so far of the rules, is what I keep saying. I think there's all these data sheets have their own rules on them as well. So, and then obviously you've got characters and everything else. There's a lot more to come, I feel. But we'll see. So, sorry, back to Gift of Contagion. In your shooting phase, you can select one enemy unit within 18 inches and visible to this Psyker and roll 1d6 on a 1. This Psyker unit suffers D3 mortal wounds. On a 2+, start your next shooting phase. Each time a model in that enemy unit makes a melee attack, subtract 1 from the wound roll. Okay, so you're making them -1 to wound. With the risk of taking D3 mortal wounds. Okay. Next Psychic Power. I'm gathering you get to do both of these. I can't see any restrictions. I haven't seen anything that says restrictions or choose one. So I'm gathering you just get to use both if you want. In your shooting phase, after this model is shot, if one or more of those attacks made with its Plague Wind, okay, the psychic gun, scored a wound against an enemy infantry unit until the start of your next turn, subtract 2 from that unit's move characteristic and subtract 2 from the advance and charge. Very nice, but it is only a 12-inch gun, so it's a bit shy. If it was 24-inch gun, great. 12-inch gun, I mean, with a move, if you're within 12 inches, let's just say it's a Space Marine, 6-inch move. He's gone down to a 4-inch move, so you're then 8 inches away. And then, depending if he's using his rules so he can advance and charge, he could then roll a d6 and then he's -2. So let's say it's a 4, so it's 2 inches, so he's 6 inches away. And then he's got to make an 8-inch charge. Yeah, okay. It's not horrendous. I'm just not sure how, if it's that good. Harley, they might do damage, but they still lack the main fundamentals of moving and getting angles. Yeah, I agree. You've got to get the angles, and also you've got to be able to get onto the objectives as well. But they could drop in, load of bolter fire, I suppose. So I think you're going to have to use them as dropping in, because I don't think you can use them for trudging across the board. Because one, they're going to get shot the crap out of before they get to shoot you, and two, they're not going to get the angles like you say. Or if you've got something that's got like a 30-inch range, you just keep moving in a way. So they move their 4 and they're still 2 inches away from actually getting in range. Anywho, Plague Burst Mortar. Okay, very iconic gun for the Death Guard. Blast, indirect fire, lethal hits. It's got everything. Lethal hits, so on the 6s it auto wounds. 48-inch range, same as it was before. D6 plus 3. Nice, reliable shots there. I really like that. Ballistic skill 3+. So if you're out of line of sight, it'll be hitting on 4s. Strength 8, -1, 2 damage. It's alright. It's not bad in this edition, I think. Spore-laced shockwaves. In your shooting phase, after this model has shot, if one or more of those attacks made of its Plague Burst Mortar scored a hit against an enemy infantry unit, that infantry unit must take a battle shock test. That's quite nice. You know, you could incapacitate an enemy unit with battle shock. Could be really nice. They will have to be used from Deep Strike. Yeah, I sort of agree with that, Harley. I think they'll have to be used from Deep Strike. On top of its oppressive range, spore lace waves that cause infantry to take battle shock tests. So look at the stratagem. Defeat is all but inevitable, and the Plague Company have a few ways of speeding up the inevitable. They've got places to be and diseases to spread after all. Okay. Sangus Flux. Sangus Flux. 1 CP. When in the fight phase, you target one Death Guard unit from your army that has not been selected to fight this phase. Until the end of the phase, weapons equipped by models in your unit have the Sustained Hits 1 ability. When your unit is within range of an infected objective marker you control, those weapons have the Sustained 2 hit ability instead. That's nice. You know, you're getting exploding 6s. To like Tesla, basically. That is really nice. How many attacks did them Blight Lords have? I mean, the Flower of Corruption with 6 attacks, or the Bubotic Blade with 4. I mean, that's quite a lot of attacks. And then if you're getting explodies on them, they could be pretty brutal. I mean, you got to get them into combat, but after you get them into combat, they could be pretty brutal. You will have to leave multiple units on back objectives against Plague Burst Crawlers, just in case. Yeah, that is a thing, because you get battle shocked, and then you're not what's the word? Controlling that objective anymore. We didn't see much about the Plague Burst Crawler in terms of its profile. I would have liked to see what the profile was like. I'm assuming that they will be T12, the same as Land Raiders, because although they're smaller, they're sort of going to be that extra bit tougher. I mean, we might even see T13. Okay, let's have a look at the little blurb from the Warhammer studio. The Death Guard are a faction long renowned for their undying resolve to spread Nurgle's gifts to any and all, says Scott from the Warhammer studio. We've kept this ideal firmly in mind when designing the Death Guard. Their army rule, Nurgle's gift, reduces their opponent's toughness characteristic within an ever-growing range as the battle grinds on. This can often be the difference between life and death, in addition where we see some of the toughest enemies in the 41st Amendment has to offer. Despite all of Nurgle's grandeur, the one thing that its devout followers lack is a sense of speed. But to make up for the Plague Company detachment rule will mean that Death Guard forces can move away from objectives safe in the knowledge that they will remain under their control unless their foes can reclaim them. Backed up with some of the toughest units in the game and the lethal hits weapon ability common to many of their units, these corrupted Space Marines can overcome even the hardest of their opponents. I hate the fact they're giving out lethal hits this much. it seems such a stupid rule. Like, what I feel is they should have had lethal hits infantry, lethal hits vehicles and monsters, lethal hits, you know, like, just what's the point in raising the toughness of everything and then giving out lethal hits all the time? You know, like, if there's a gun that's specifically meant to be good against vehicles, let's say like the Gauss flayers, they're sort of meant to be not bad against vehicles. Give them lethal hits against vehicles, but not infantry. And then give these guys lethal hits against infantry. Because what's the point in giving this really high toughness? Let's say they are getting rerolls and you go up against the monolith and you've got a T14 monolith. Well, if they can get rerolls and they're auto winning with 40 shots against the monolith, and the lethal hits, they're auto winning on a hit roll of a 6. It's just not great, is it? It just seems a bit meh, you know? And then you've got these devastating wounds, which seems to be so many mortal wounds going to go out. And then if you're like anti-infantry 4+, so any 4+ is a critical wound to wound. Well, them critical wounds, if you've got hazardous wounds, so any 4+ is then mortal wounds, which seems super strong. Or have I got that wrong? There's a very situational strat. Need the objective and the sustain hits rule. Yeah, I agree. This is a situational strat. That strat is mere considering that an objective is needed and would have been better for just normal exploding 6s. I mean, I don't think you need the strat for the first part, mate. You don't need the objective for the first part. They've got sustained hits 1 if there's no objective, and if they're in range of an effective objective marker, you get sustained hits 2. So you do get exploding 6s with the strat, and then you get exploding 6s, 2 exploding 6s if you control it. Okay. So, some people happy with the Death Guard rules. Some people not so happy, I think, with the speed of the Death Guard. So, hi Neil, by the way. So, let's have a look at some of the leaks. I'm not going to put them up on the screen just because I don't know. I don't know if I can. I don't know if I'll get in trouble. I mean, I don't think I'll get in trouble in terms of, but I might get copyright striked or whatever. I don't think it's worth it to put it up on the screen. So I have got them, and we'll have a chat about them. So let's swap over. So some interesting rules. So we start off with the shooting phase. I don't think there's anything massive in the shooting phase. Let's talk through the lone operative. I think that's a bit of a different one. I mean, there is some changes to the shooting phase that we will go over, but in this section, I mean. So lone operative, unless part of an attached unit, see leader page, this unit can only be selected as the target of a range attack if attacking model is within 12 inches. Now, am I right in saying that lone operative is? Does Gilliman have, did Gilliman have the lone operative rule? Let me have a check on that. Where are we? Was he in the Space Marine? I'm hoping he was in the Space Marine. Space Marines. Let's switch back on. We'll have a look at Space Marine, shall we? The old combat doctrines, which are really nice, by the way. I know we haven't been through this on the stream, but the fact that they can choose these, you can shoot in a turn which you advance. You can then declare a charge and declare is able to shoot and declare a charge in a turn in which you fell back, and then being able to advance and charge, very, very good. And then the Oath of Moment rule is obviously very strong. Reroll all hits and wounds against a unit you choose. Where was he? There he is. Does he have the Lone Operative? So he doesn't have the Lone Operative. Is that right? While this model is within 3 inches of one or more friendly Adeptus Astartes infantry units, this model has the Lone Operative ability. Okay, so he does have the Lone Operative ability. So if he's not within 3 inches of an Adeptus Astartes infantry unit, say he's off on his own, sitting in the corner sulking because his brother's just come back, then he can be shot at. If he's within 3 inches, he can still be shot at, but you have to be within 12 inches of him. Okay, I quite like that. That's not bad. I don't mind that role at all. So it's not like he's getting full protection, like you can't shoot him. You can still shoot him, but you then have to be within 12 inches. Now, I don't think that you will be able to shoot him if you have precision weapons, so sniper rifles basically, or anything with a precision ability. Because the precision ability, let me just quickly, the precision ability is on here, I'm just going to read it quickly. Precision. Here we are, weapon abilities, precision. Vast amount of heavy, precision. So weapons with precision in their profile are known as precision weapons. Each time an attack is made with such a weapon, successfully wounds an attached unit. If a character model in that unit is visible to the attacking model's player can choose to have the attack allocated to the character model instead of the following normal attack sequence. Now, when attacking an attached unit, but the Lone Operative doesn't count as being attached. So from what I am getting from that is that precision weapons can't target a Lone Operative. Is anyone else feeling the same about that? Please let me know if that's made any sense whatsoever. But yeah, so I'm feeling like Lone Operatives, you might only be able to target them if you're within 12 inches. Now, I'm assuming something like the assassin, the sniper rifle assassin. I'm assuming he'll have the Lone Operative keyword as well. So you won't be able to target him with 12 inches. So you'll stick him up the back and then he'll shoot at your attached leaders. And the only way you get to him is you get within 12 inches of him so you can shoot him. Oh no, hang on, because he won't have the Lone Operative ability unless he's within 3 inches of a unit. If it works the same as Gilliman's. But he might have it anyway, even if he isn't within 3 inches of a unit. So yeah, we'll have to wait and see what happens with that. So Neil said that's how he understood it as well. Yeah, so I think that's probably how it works, but we'll have to see. I think we really have to see once, like, for instance, the assassins come out and things like that. If they just have the Lone Operative ability all the time, means they won't be able to be targeted if they're initially within 12. And then maybe with people like Gilliman, maybe some of the bigger, chunkier boys, it will be they only get the Lone Operative ability if they're within 3 inches of a friendly Adeptus Astartes infantry unit. So interesting there. So moving on, strategic reserves. So strategic reserves, you can only have 25% of your points in strategic reserves now. I think it used to be 50. So 25% is a little bit of a cut. It's a little bit more restrictive. However, you can bring them in from turn 2, 6 inches away from anywhere apart from your opponent's deployment zone. In your opponent's deployment zone, sorry. And then from turn 3 onwards, you can bring him in anywhere. In your opponent's deployment zone, from their battlefield edge, anywhere. Okay? And you can bring them in turn 3, 4, and 5. So not everything has to come in from turn 3 from strategic reserves. We don't know about Deep Strike yet. Although I do think there might be a bit in about Deep Strike. Okay, charging. I don't think there's anything else about strategic reserves. I haven't completely read everything word for word, but I've tried to skim and try and take the bits that I thought were interesting. So it seems like charging, you can now fly. If you have fly, you can now go straight. You don't have to go up terrain. You can just go straight onto it. But if you haven't got fly, then you have to climb it and measure up, as you would expect. Okay, pile in and consolidate. I think we've seen these rules before, but basically you have to be in base-to-base contact when you charge, and then anything that's in base-to-base with the front models that's in base-to-base with the enemy, they can attack as well. And if you kill that, you can then consolidate up to 3 inches, and you have to end that consolidation either in engagement range of an enemy unit or within range of an objective marker. Yeah, I think that covers that. What else do we have? 6 times movement resolved, attack within engagement range. Yep, we've covered that. Just done consolidate. There's a little drawing there to show you. There's a bit about data sheets, but I don't think that's necessary. We've seen enough data sheets. Okay, Deep Strike. Says during the declare battle formation step, if every model in a unit has this ability, you can set it up in reserves instead of setting it up on the battlefield. If you do, in the reinforcement step of one of your movement phases, you can set up this unit anywhere on the battlefield that is more than 9 inches horizontally away from all enemy models. Okay. Basically, you have to be 9 inches away straight along the floor. So even if that person is 6 inches high, you still have to be 9 inches away. So your charge is always going to be 9 inches unless you have pluses to charge. I think that's what I'm getting from that. Now, it doesn't have any restrictions there. It doesn't say that you can only have 50%, 25% or whatever that going into Deep Strike. So I'm assuming at the moment, from what I can tell, models you put into Deep Strike do not count towards that 25% of your strategic reserves. From what I can tell. But don't, you know, we still haven't seen everything yet. I'm sure there's going to be maybe some clarification section or something. Or you would have thought they would have put it in the Deep Strike section that there is a cap. So I'm assuming there's not a cap. Because this is the rules. So although this does say just deployment abilities. So maybe when, I don't know if there's a section about when you're building your army, there might be a section in it that says about that. Who knows? Okay, scouts. So scout move is, as we've seen in the past, it's ever scout X. So it's you pre-game move. Let's say it's a scout move 8. You can pre-game move up to 8 inches. It says make a normal move up to X as your movement rate. As can any dedicated transport models, such as a unit starts as can any dedicated transport model, such a unit starts the battle embarked within, provided only models with this ability are embarked within that dedicated transport model. The unit moves using the ability and ends that move 9 inches horizontally away from all enemy models. If both players have it, turn who's first. So that means, say if you've got a unit that can pre-game move 8, you can put them in a dedicated transport and you can pre-game move the dedicated transport 8. Interesting. Infiltrators work, from what I can see, the exact same way as Infiltrate works now in 9th edition. Okay, leaders. Some character units have leader listed on their datasheet, such as character units are known as leaders. Such characters units are known as leaders. And the units they can lead, known as their bodyguard units, are listed on their datasheet. Okay, so you'll be able to see what you can attach. During the declare battle formation step, for each leader in your army, if your army also includes one or more of that leader's bodyguard units, you can select one of those bodyguard units. That leader will then attach to that bodyguard unit for the duration of the battle and is said to be leading that unit. Each bodyguard unit can only have one leader attached to it. So during the declare battle formation step, So I don't know what that step is. If that's like, are they saying you can, it's not necessarily on your list. You can choose which leader you want to go with which unit at the beginning of the battle. I don't know. I have to clarify what declare battle formations is. I'm assuming it's when you're writing your list. While a bodyguard unit contains a leader, it is known as an attached unit, and with the exception of rules that are triggered when units are destroyed, it is treated as a single unit for all rules purposes. Each time an attack targets an attached unit, until the attacking unit has resolved all of its attacks, you must use the toughness characteristic of the bodyguard models in that unit, even if a leader in that unit has a different toughness characteristic. Each time an attack successfully wounds an attacked unit, the attack cannot be allocated to a character model in that unit, even if the character model has lost one or more wounds or has already had attacks allocated to it this phase. As soon as the last bodyguard model is destroyed, then you can allocate the rest of the attacks to the character. Interesting. So that is how the character is going to work with their attached unit. So we have some stratagems. To use stratagem, you must pay the CP specified. The same stratagem cannot be used more than once in the same phase. So very much as we see now. So we've got the command reroll stratagem, which you can use on a hit roll, wound roll, damage roll, saving throw, advance roll, charge roll, desperate escape test. Oh, you can use a CP reroll on a hazardous test. Or just after you have rolled the dice to determine the number of attacks made with the weapon for an attack, model or unit for your army. You reroll the test or saving throw. Okay. Interesting. You can use a reroll, CP reroll on a hazardous test. I didn't realise that. Because hazardous now, as I said before, is you use the weapon, you roll a d6. If you roll a 1, your model dies. So you can try and counter that with a CP reroll. But from what we've heard, CP is sparse in this edition. Okay, counter offensive for 2 CP. When the fight, in the fight phase just after enemy units 4, 1 unit from your army that is within engagement range of one or any units and has not already been selected to fight this phase, you can fight next. So the interrupt strat. It's 2 CP. Epic challenge. It's 1 CP, and basically, when a character unit from your army that is within engagement range of one or more attached units and is selected to fight, you can use this strat for 1 CP, and you can put all of your attacks on the character that is attached to that unit. So your character can just have a battle with the other one, and basically all of your attacks get the precision keyword, so you can put them on the character. Okay, next up we have Insane Bravery. Basically for 1 CP you can pass a battle shock test, so you get to use this after you fail the battle shock test. So that's quite nice. You get to roll for it, you fail it, you think, I really need this though, so you use 1 CP Insane Bravery. It doesn't say it's restricted to once per game, so you can use this as many times as you want, but again, CP is restricted, so we'll see. Okay, the grenade stratagem. So if you have the grenade keyword, basically in your shooting phase, you use 1 grenade unit that is not within an engagement range of any enemy units, and is not being selected to shoot. Select 1 enemy unit that is not within engagement range of any units from your army and is within 8 inches. So it has to be within 8 inches and visible to your grenade unit. Roll 6d6 for each 4+. That enemy unit suffers 1 mortal wound. So 6d6 on average, you're going to do 3 mortal wounds. Quite nice. It could spike. You could do 4. You could do 5. You could do 1. You know, but it's a nice little strat. If you they're not going to really do any damage with their guns. Mind you, most things got lethal hits, so they probably will. But if you feel like, or if you feel like you've got a particularly tough character or something, he's only got a couple of wounds left, you're like, let's grenade him, see if we can get that couple of mortal wounds off. So I do think that strat is quite nice. I like the fact it's only 8-inch range, so it can be quite effective. Next up is Tank Shock for 1 CP. Basically, in your charge phase, you use a vehicle that you're charging with. Until the end of the phase, after your unit ends a charge move, select one enemy unit with engagement range of it, and select one melee weapon your unit is equipped with. Roll a number of d6 equal to that weapon's strength characteristic. If that strength characteristic is greater than that enemy unit's toughness characteristic, roll 2 additional d6. And then for each 5+, again, you're doing 1 mortal wound. That's to a maximum of 6. So say you've got 6 attacks and your strength 8 and the toughness is toughness 6. You get to use 8 dice, roll, and then for any 5+, it's a mortal wound. Again, not a bad strat. I quite like it. Okay, this one is a strange one. I mean, I'm sure people are going to tell me all the ways that this can be used, but it seems like a weird... I mean, I can see it being used to go on objectives and stuff like that, but anyway, Rapid Ingress it's called. 1 CP, end of your opponent's movement phase, select one unit from your army that is in reserves. Your unit can arrive on the battlefield as if it were the reinforcement step of your movement phase. You cannot use this stratagem to enable a unit to arrive on the battlefield during a battle round it would not normally be able to. So you can't do it turn 1. So yeah, you can just bring an enemy unit... you can bring your unit down in your enemy's movement phase. I mean, you still got to follow the rules of reinforcements. So you've got to be 9 inches away. Because I was thinking, maybe you could move block with it. But I don't know how much move blocking you do if you were 9 inches away. I mean, I could see you bringing it down on like an objective. And then maybe behind some terrain. Might be quite cool to do that. So you're sort of stopping them. So you might think, oh, they're not going to be able to get... Because it's the reinforcement step. So it's the end of the movement phase. So you could then put it where they can't then get angles on it. And you get that objective. Because they haven't moved to be able to get angles on it. So I could see it being used like that quite effectively. New to 40k, how will the points be counted in 10th? Mr. Postman JM. So we don't know exactly how the points... All we know that is for a traditional game, so the most played game, which will be a Strike Force, which is 2,000 points. That's all we know at the minute. We don't actually know how much points any of these units are, which is a big thing, because we've seen some units that we think maybe have got worse since the last edition, but they might be a lot less points, so it might not be even a bad thing. So it'll be very interesting to see how they do the points, how much stuff's going to cost, because yeah, I mean, it really determines, because you could have a lot worse data sheets, but if your points are a lot less, you're going to have a lot more stuff anyway. So it's a bit like Leagues of Votann. At the moment, Leagues of Votann points are very high because they're very brutal with their army rules. But their army rules have really changed in 10th edition. So I'm assuming the points cost are going to come down, so you have more stuff on the table that are going to be less effective. So yeah, we're still waiting to hear what's going on with that. Okay, so that was the Rapid Ingress stratagem. So that's very new for 10th edition, being able to come down in your opponent's phase. So something else that's changed is the Overwatch. So you play this in your opponent's movement or charge phase. Very interesting. Just when an enemy unit is set up, or when an enemy unit starts or ends a normal advance or fallback or charge move. So basically, if it moves, you can have a shot at it if you're in range. One unit from your army that is within 24 inches of that enemy unit. Oh, okay, so Overwatch is now 24-inch range. That would be eligible to shoot if you were in the shooting phase. So it doesn't even have to, it doesn't have to be a charge. It doesn't have to charge, it's just Overwatch. You just shoot. You move, I'm shooting. That's nice. That's very nice. Your unit can shoot that enemy unit as if it were your shooting phase. The restriction is that you have to hit on 6s. There is no ifs, buts, and ands. On modified roll of a 6, unless you maybe are Tau, maybe they get to shoot on 5s, but it will specifically say in the Overwatch phase, when firing Overwatch, this unit can do A, B, or C. And it will overrule that restriction. But for any normal bod, 6s to hit, that's it. Okay, next up is go to ground. When your opponent's shooting phase, in your opponent's shooting phase, just after an enemy unit has selected its targets, one infantry unit from your army that was selected as the target of one or more of the attacking unit's attacks. Until the end of the phase, all models in your unit have a 6-up invulnerable save and the benefit of cover. So this is really nice if you know, you're out of cover, you're trying to get to an objective, or maybe you're on an objective and someone's shooting at you, and I don't know, let's say you're a unit of Marines and you've got a 3-up save and someone's shooting at you with a load of shots at -1. Well, if you get the benefit of cover, you normally go to a 4-up, you're going back to a 3-up, a lot higher chance of then surviving that barrage of shots. Really nice. And then maybe they've also got a heavy weapon in that squad that's got AP4. Well, you've now got a 6-up invuln, so you've got a chance of saving that as well. So, nice stratagem for a bit of durability if you're out in the open. Okay, this is another really good stratagem for exactly the same thing, smoke screen. So this used to just be -1 to hit. So your opponent's shooting phase, just after an enemy unit has been selected as its target, one smoke unit from your army that was selected as the target of one or more of attacking units' attacks. Until the end of the phase, all models in your unit have the benefit of cover and the stealth ability, which is -1 to hit. So that's really, really nice. -1 to hit and you get cover. Really durable. To be honest, I feel like you'd use that one if you've got the smoke screen keyword. The smoke keyword, I think you'd use that more than the go to ground. The go to ground is just for infantry, and then smoke will be whatever smokes got. Whatever units have the smoke keyword. And then we have heroic intervention, which is 2 CP. Smoke's 1 CP as well. Your opponent's charge phase, just after an enemy unit ends a charge move, one unit from your army that has been 6 inches of that enemy unit and would be eligible to declare a charge against that enemy unit if it were your charge phase. Your unit now declares a charge that targets only that enemy unit, and you resolve that charge as if it were your charge phase. So you have to be within 6 inches, but you still have to roll 2d6 and get that. So it's not just an auto. It used to be just move 3 inches in. Now you have to actually make a charge move. The restriction is you can only select a vehicle unit from your army if it was a walker. So you can't heroically intervene. No, sorry. You can't use this heroic intervention on vehicles, only on walkers. Okay? That has a walker keyword. And then obviously infantry and everything else. Note that even if this charge is successful, your unit does not receive any charge bonus this turn. So I assume that means that you won't get the fight first ability from that you get from charging. Okay, moving on. So that was the stratagems. What do you think, guys? What stratagems do you like the best? I think, for me, the Overwatch stratagems changed a lot, and it's very interesting. I think I really like the grenade stratagem. I think it's a cool stratagem. I think Insane Bravery is obviously, as always, has been very useful. Will win you games, especially towards the end of a game, getting you extra points on objectives and things like that. I'm not so sure about the heroic intervention. It's 2 CP. It seems a little bit expensive just to heroically intervene. Maybe if you got some really cool units to do so, you know. I think the worry is though you're going to get hit first a lot of the time. So unless you've got some seriously tanky units, or you're heroically intervening into a weak unit, I suppose that could be something. Okay, so next up, we're going to talk about ranged attacks, and we're going to talk about big guns never tire. So, I will just say, it does say about the stealth keyword here. If every model in your unit has this ability, each time attack is made against it, subtract 1 from the hit roll, as we thought. So, the big guns never tire. Monster and vehicle units are eligible to shoot in their controlling player's shooting phase, even while they are within engagement range of 1 or more enemy units. Ranged weapons equipped by monster and vehicle units can target one or more of the enemy units they are in engagement range of, even if other friendly units are also within engagement range of the same enemy unit. Okay, so you could be, you're in engagement range with 2 of your units in one unit, you can still shoot into them. Yeah, it's cool. Each time a monster vehicle makes a ranged attack, if its unit was within engagement range of one or more enemy units, when it's selected its targets, unless that attack is made with a pistol, subtract 1 from that attack's hit roll. So -1 to hit. So, interestingly, from this bit I'm reading, you can only shoot at models that you're in engagement range of. Okay, so you can only shoot at the models that you're in engagement range of. Unless you have a rule, like for instance, Guard in 9th had a rule that their turret weapons could shoot out of combat, which was a really nice rule. Okay, you can select an enemy monster or vehicle unit within engagement range of one or more units from your army as a target of ranged weapons. Each time a model from your army makes a ranged attack against such target, it's -1 to hit, unless it's a pistol. So, but it does say that a unit that is within engagement range of an enemy monster or vehicle unit is still not eligible. So if your unit is in engagement range of the monster or vehicle, you can't shoot with that unit, but the rest of your army can shoot at that monster or vehicle, but they're -1 to hit it. Okay. You can still, if you're in engagement range, you can still use your pistols. Pew pew. Okay, even while they're within engagement range. Yep. So, moving on. Making attacks, hit roll and wound roll. So, I did actually think with all this, like, raising of toughness, I did start to think that 6s might not always be a wound. Thought it might be like, if you're triple the strength, if your toughness is triple the strength, I thought it might not be able to wound. It's not the case. It's not the case at all. In fact, it was Andy from 40k who said that he thought that might be the rule. But no, so if you're over half, if the toughness of what you're shooting is over half, doesn't matter if it's triple the toughness of your strength, it's still 6s will always wound. And hit rolls, 6s always hit and 1s always fail, and you can never be more than -1 or +1 to hit. Okay, saving throws. What I will say about the saving throws, which is interesting, so the AP obviously affects your save characteristic, can go up or down. So say it's -3 AP and you've got a 2-up save, you go to a 5-up save. With the invulnerable save, like Gilliman has here, he's got a 4-up invulnerable. The AP doesn't affect that save, and you can choose which save you want. So let's say you've got an AP free gun shooting at Gilliman. He's got a 2-up save, so it would normally be a 5-up save, but he can choose to use his 4-up invulnerable save, which isn't affected by AP. It's always a 4-up. So you get to choose which one you want to use. However, and the saving throw one has always failed. However, you can never improve your saving throw by more than 1, which I really like, because in 9th edition, there was people that were getting, like, I think at one point with, you know, ignoring AP1 and all these other things, like, I think it was the Paladins, the Grey Knight Paladins, Harley will know because he was using them. They were getting, like, a -2-up save or something ridiculous. It was getting crazy. You like, las cannons weren't even making them take more than a 2-up. It was mental. So I like that. Inflict damage. So you got the feel no pain. So feel no pain ability is basically, if it says feel no pain 5+, once you've failed your saving throw and they've dealt the damage, say it's 2 damage, you roll 2d6, and on 5+, you ignore that damage. So every 5+, you ignore each part of damage, each wound. Deadly Demise is just whatever it says. If it says Deadly Demise, 3 mortals, like 3, then it will be 3 mortals. Or it will say D3 or D6, and it always seems to be 6-inch range now. All explosions are 6-inch range. Okay, weapon abilities. So assault weapons no longer have a penalty if you advance. It's just, if you have assault weapons, you can advance and you can shoot. Like, there's no -1 anymore. So, that's quite nice. Big upgrade for the assault weapons. Rapid fire, as we've said, is just, if it's rapid fire 2, if you're in half range, you get 2 extra shots. Ignores cover, so obviously it just ignores the benefit of the cover. So, twin linked means that you're re-rolling the wound roll. Pistol, you can basically shoot in combat. Can be shot even if the bearer's unit is within engagement range or enemy units, but must target those enemy units. Cannot be shot alongside any other pistol, non-pistol weapon. So you can't shoot a pistol weapon and then shoot a rapid fire gun. Torrent, which is a flamer, means it automatically hits, so you don't have to roll a hit roll. Lethal hits, as we've said, that basically a 6 to hit is a critical hit. So Harley says, yeah, 2+ save against las cannons, cover plus armor of contempt plus armor of resilience. Yeah. So basically, I mean, it was mental. You basically couldn't get them off a 2-up save. It was really difficult. If the Lance, so Lance is a rule I don't think we've seen yet. I'm assuming something like the Adeptus Custodes bikes will get this, which they've had in the past. So weapons with Lance in their profile are known as Lance weapons. Each time an attack made with this weapon, if the bearer made a charge move this turn, add 1 to the attack's wound roll. So if you charged in, you get +1 to wound. Really nice. Very nice rule. Okay, indirect fire. So this is when you can shoot at models that you can't see. If you can't see the models, you are... if no models are visible, you subtract 1 from the hit roll and the target gets the benefit of cover. It's quite nice. It's how it should be. You don't want to make indirect fire too powerful, because what it then does is it allows people to just not have to engage with you. Like the Desolation Marines, they made them a bit too powerful, and now in 9th edition they're a little bit too strong. When a target in an attached unit, this is a precision ability, we talked about this earlier, you can basically target a character. So like sniper rifles and such. Blast is you add 1 to the attack's characteristic for every 5 models in a target unit. So if it's got 5 models, you can +1. If you've got 10 models, you get +2, and so on and so forth. Can never be used against a target that is within engagement range. So you can't use blast it if you're in a vehicle. You can't use it in engagement range. Can never be used against a target that is within engagement range of any units from the attacking model's army, including its own. Okay. Melter. So melter is, it will say melter and then a number. So if it's melter 2, it means that you'll get 2 extra damage if you're in half range when using that gun. And then heavy weapons is just +1 to hit, which is really nice. +1 to hit if you remain stationary. So if you don't move, you get +1 to hit. I wonder if there will be things, because they've used them in past, in this edition as well, like, this unit counts as remaining stationary. If they've got heavy weapons, they go there to move and still get +1 to hit. That could be very good. So hazardous. Hazardous, after a unit shoots or fights with a hazardous weapon, roll 1 hazardous test. So roll 1d6 for each hazardous weapon used. For each one model equipped with a hazardous weapon is destroyed. Characters, monsters and vehicles just suffer 3 mortal wounds instead. So it can be quite brutal, but you can use a CP reroll on a hazardous test, interestingly. So devastating wounds. A critical wound inflicts mortal wounds equals the weapon's damage characteristic instead of normal damage, as we've seen on some other previews. The anti-keyword is, so if it's anti-infantry 2+, wounds on a 2+, regardless of the strength and toughness. Extra attacks means it's on melee weapons, because you're normally only allowed to choose 1 melee weapon. But if you have a melee weapon that says extra attacks, you can then use that as well as your other melee weapon. And then sustained hits is that exploding 6s on 6s to hit on critical hits. Okay, charge phase. Charge 2d6 as normal. Targets must be within 12 inches. If the distance rolled is insufficient to move in engagement range of all targets to maintain unique coherency, the charge fails. Cannot move within engagement range of any enemy unit that was not a target of the charge. So you can't get an engagement range of anyone that wasn't a target of the charge. If the charge is scheduled, each model makes a charge move less than or equal to the charge roll and must move into base-to-base contact with enemy models if possible. So you always have to move in engagement range. So base-to-base. Interesting. Okay. I think that's about it. Is there any questions or anything I've missed people think that should be added in? What do people think about the new rules? What do they think about the Death Guard rules? What do they think about the Aeldari rules? Are we thinking strong, weak? What are we thinking? I think Aeldari look good. I think there's some good things. Obviously, everything across the board, I feel, has got a little bit weaker. Every faction focus that we've seen, and they've said that they want it to be less killy, and I don't really necessarily always think it's got weaker in terms of less killy, but you know, they've taken away some people's ballistic skill, like worsened people's ballistic skill. They've made a lot of damage less reliable, things like that. But I'm just thinking, from a competitive point of view, I feel like there's still a lot of what's the word? Synergies and things like with the fire prisms. I think the fire prisms are going to be brutal, especially with the fire and fade. Again, it's 2 CP to fire and fade that fire prism, and I don't know how easy it's going to be to get command points. Someone said that you get like 1 a turn, so you're going to get like 5 in the whole game. So it'll be interesting. So yeah, I don't know. Yeah, 5 in a whole game does seem like there's like, now I've looked at the stratagems, you know, to only have 5 in a game, it means you'll probably, you know, you might use a reroll somewhere. An insane bravery, you're only going to probably be able to fire Overwatch once in the whole game. You know, and then there'll be, obviously you got your specific stratagems for your thing. 5 just seems so low. So low. I know it's obviously what I'm comparing to like 9th and 8th and how many CP we've had, but they obviously reduced CP quite a lot throughout 9th edition, and I'm wondering if it's going to be too restricted at the start of 10th, and they might have to then up the amount of CP, because it does make the game interesting. Although I don't like overpowered stratagems. You know, where you're like, oh, I'm playing this stratagem, and this 100-point unit can now kill 500 points of your stuff. Like, no one wants to see that. It's crap, and it's not enjoyable. What I'd like to see is things getting slightly buffed, you know, or a slight debuff to your opponent, or, you know, things that can sort of affect the game, but it's not like, oh, I'm playing this stratagem, it's 1 CP, and I'm going to kill your knight with my 5 marines, you know? Like, no one wants to see that. Well, probably apart from if you're a marine player. So I'd like to see... having read the core stratagems, I think they're all pretty good. There's nothing in there that I'm thinking, oh, that's too much. But I'm thinking, I mean... The fire and fade is probably one of the strongest stratagems that I've seen so far. Seems like a, you know, I mean, fire and fade's always been in there for Craft World and Drukhari, and it's a great stratagem and it's very powerful. And I don't mind that they've got it, because the craft worlds, or the Eldar in general, are pretty soft. So they need stuff to keep them alive. I mean, we haven't seen... I would have liked to have seen one of the craft worlds toughness of their vehicles. I'd like to see a vehicle toughness. Maybe we'll get to see it with the Drukhari faction focus. Are we going to get a separate Harlequins faction focus? Or are they going to be in the Aeldari book? I'm assuming they'll be in the Aeldari book again. But I hope we still get a faction focus on them, because I do still feel like they are a separate faction. Would be a shame, because they didn't show anything of Harlequins in that faction focus. So hopefully we get to see some Harlequins. Didn't see anything about Inari either. I'm not sure if they'll get their own faction focus. There was a post done by Warhammer 40,000 saying Deathwatch aren't getting a faction focus, which I think is not great. I'd have liked to have seen a faction focus for Deathwatch. And they're saying like, oh, they're getting their own detachment rules. But it's like, what? Is that it? Are they not getting their own stratagems? Are they not getting, you know, their own army rule and detachment rule? Or are they just getting Oath of Moment? And don't get me wrong, I'm sure Deathwatch players aren't going to cry that they've got Oath of Moment. But do you not think they should have something different? Just seems a little bit like, for Deathwatch players, if you specifically collect Deathwatch and that's your only army, like, I'd want a faction focus. You know, I want to see some rules. Even if they do it as, you know, a little faction focus, it just put the detachment rule up, whatever. But I'd want to, even in the index, I still want some sort of separate rules. Maybe they're bringing them in. Maybe they're bringing them into the maybe they're bringing them into the Space Marine Codex. So they're not going to be a separate codex. I doubt that, though. That would be really weird, because it would just make them just be another chapter. Like, there's no sort of special... I think that would be a really bad move if GW did that. Okay, guys. I've gone a bit over. I usually only do an hour, and I'm sure you're all bored of listening to me talk. But, yeah, really interesting day for rules with Death Guard, the leaks that came out this morning. But please, in the comments section, let me know what you think of the rules. Let me know what you think of the Death Guard. We've got a Discord. There's a link in the description for the Discord. So please come up, head over, chat with us on there. There's a few of us in there talking about 10th edition, the new rules. Feel free to join. Ask us questions if you're not sure. We'll be more than happy to answer any questions that you've got, you know, regarding 10th edition, regarding any rules, regarding armies, lore. We've got some pretty big lore experts in there as well. So yeah, anything that you want to know, join Discord, and hopefully we can get hyped up for 10th edition together, talk about the pros, the cons. Yeah, but I hope you enjoyed the stream, guys, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.